just like Mama used to me.
Welcome to the Breaking Hyman podcast. I'm Morgan.
Lori Amber.
Our guest,
Ranney.
Thanks so much for doing this, Ranney.
Absolutely.
This was Lori's. I was like, I don't think we're ready to ask Ranney to do this yet.
We weren't.
But she
that's
took
kind of how
some
it happened.
initiative, and I mean, we've done. I think we've done about 20 of these. We did some at my house, then we started doing them on video here at Roy's studio. Yeah, so Lori's got a shitload of questions to ask you.
I do.
So
I mean,
I'll let her kind of take the lead. If anything,
they don't know about that room I've been sitting in for 2 years, just waiting and typing.
Cooper is in Paris.
I knew it. How did you know that was my first question?
I like the whole
DB Cooper.
I like the whole theory that there was no DB Cooper and it was the crew that took the money. I like that one, but
right.
Yeah.
So before we get started, family in Florida. They all right?
Yeah.
Good.
Everyone tapped in, and
okay.
I mean, I love my brothers and sisters, but whenever I call them mom.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah.
She's the important one.
Ethel, right? Miss Ethel? Esther,
Miss
my mom's middle name.
Esther Blue. Yeah.
Just so nervous.
She said she got much needed sleep, and she was good.
Nice.
That's good.
Nice. Well, that is glad to hear about it.
She's tough, so.
Yeah, I'm assuming this wasn't her first, third, whatever.
Yeah,
we knew it wasn't the first, right?
Yeah. But I heard from my hometown is Winter Haven, which is like the most. It's like you can't get more Central Florida.
Okay.
So for the first time in my lifetime, a hurricane came right through the middle.
Really?
Right.
So I heard from a lot of relatives. Like my older sister was texting in our family text as it was going on, and so I heard from a lot of Central Florida. Residents that this was the worst they've ever experienced.
Because it's the only time.
Usually they're doing coast.
Yeah.
But it went right through the gut. It kind of Mike Tyson to Florida. And
it bit its ear off? Weird.
It went up the gut. And hearing from a lot of family members, and friends, a lot of friends in that area, the amount of wind, the noise, all of that was like at the highest level they've experienced. And you're talking people who've lived there 50, 60 years.
That is wild.
That's scary.
Yeah.
My
tornadoes are scary by themselves. That's bad enough.
Well, that was the prelude. Helene flooded Florida, and then, Milton came afterwards, as the Irish do.
Yeah. All these hurricanes.
I was like, don't be racist. Don't be racist. Don't be racist.
It's all old people names. It's like Hurricane Hubert,
Hurricane
Georgina.
I want to like Hurricane Jessica. Where's that one?
Yeah, Hurricane 2 Chainz.
There you go. I know they go alphabetical.
They don't hit up north very often.
No.
I asked Andres, well, now that we know your family's good, I was like, so if we just lose the bottom half of Florida like this week, does the electoral vote change? How does that work? He's like, not till 2026. I'm like, all right, then. I would pray if I did that.
Right. Can we get a GPS on DeSantis?
Right.
He just blows away.
Send it to Milton.
Man, what's with all the bad aim this year? I didn't say that. That was Kyle from Tenacious D.
Did he say that?
Well, he was talking about the assassination attempt, not hurricanes, but
Well,
Yeah, can you imagine someone from Tenacious D saying something a little off color?
No.
Weird.
No clue.
Yeah. Usually gently, but.
Yeah, right. That's just fucking teamwork, man.
That's one of my go-to karaoke songs.
Nice. I got to spend more time with you guys at karaoke, watching.
All
right. So
cool.
I tried to make a list of your titles that I know about.
Chocolate Gandalf.
It's on the list. It's right up. Oh, well, okay. I got titles and then I got nicknames.
Okay.
So I'll run through.
Sometimes they intersect.
Right. So obviously, son, brother, right? Those would be your first titles, I would assume.
Husband.
That you remember, or that we're just doing this life, just this one. And then in no particular order, director, producer, writer, poet, actor, comedian, teacher, traveler, musician, singer, husband. Did I miss any?
Yeah,
Probably.
could have consolidated.
Shaman.
Consolidated all of that under ADHD.
Oh, disabled. I forgot.
Right.
Yeah. No.
I mean, I joke about that, but honestly, when I was younger, that's probably what my parents would have said.
Yeah.
You know, the thing that's changed through the years is like this.
Yeah.
Like I ran into a friend in my 30s. This is almost 20 years ago in a mall when I was visiting Winter Haven, Florida. And we were talking in the middle of the mall, and out of nowhere, she just started laughing. I said, "What's up, gay?" And she said, "No, it's just amazing to be talking to you and you're standing in one place."
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right.
So that's the thing that's changed. It's physically, I've brought it down.
Yeah.
I used to be, I couldn't all the way up to my early 30s do this podcast sitting here.
Really?
Right.
No, I would have been everywhere.
I have a little trouble with it
Now, you
myself,
s-
actually.
Correct me if I'm wrong. You started performing as a dancer, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, man.
crap.
Yeah, that's
I
probably
didn't
has
have
something to do
dancer
with it.
on there.
Yeah, man.
Right?
My sister, who's a year older than me, chose me as a dance partner.
Mm-hmm.
And I said yes because she could beat me up.
Right?
That's a good reason.
And we had fun, man. There's this small town, which is also Central Florida, Mulberry, that we moved to, that we were like the reverse Janet Michael of all the talent shows. And if you go back to then, if anyone knew me around that time and didn't know me afterwards, they would go, they thought at the time I was going to be the next Michael Jackson.
Really?
That was the projections.
Wow.
Like,
And instead, you
I
ended up
could-
Randy Jackson.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Well, on behalf of the kids, cool.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I have
good.
no complaints, but I used to be able to dance my ass off, man. My sister and I, we were quite the team. And then she left and went on to high school and left me in the middle school.
Yeah.
And I just took over, man.
Wow.
There was this song by The Time,
Yeah.
Morris Day and The Time, called Cool,
Oh, yeah.
that I did this whole routine to, and the song is like 15
Let's see how
minutes.
much you remember.
Okay.
Jump up here.
Oh, man. I love
I knew I brought singles for a reason.
I love Morris Day.
Yeah.
I did
Yeah,
Purple
he's
Rain
fun.
a couple
He's
weeks
fun.
ago. Or
We
a
used
couple
to,
months
like, in
ago.
high school, dress like that, man. We
yeah.
had a little posse of
That's
ours.
awesome.
thought we were like, the whole Minneapolis scene.
Yeah, throwing
All
women
those
in
guys.
trash cans, stuff like that.
Yeah, right.
He's like,
Are those stilettos
that
too
giggle.
tight?
You was there?
Yeah, right. Doing chili sauce, the song.
Oh, man.
Oh, wow.
I got a brass water bed and all of that stuff.
So you
And
were
all
like
of that stuff.
junior high, high school when
Yeah.
you were dancing. Okay. All right. Wow.
Yeah. And then it went into acting.
Yeah.
And I'd say early on, I had an uncle who ran a laundromat, and
Sure.
we would go and spend time with him, and that's where I discovered my love of comedy.
Oh, really?
He would roll like classic vinyl.
Oh,
Okay,
nice.
I see.
Guys like Pig Meat Markham and Mom's Mabley, that old school stuff.
Yeah.
Leroy and Skillet, and
Oh, shit.
and across cultural,
Yeah.
Woody Allen, Henny Youngman,
Yeah.
the Bickersons, all that stuff, man. I used to know those
the
albums,
Smothers
bro.
Brothers.
Yeah.
Verbatim.
Yeah. Wow. So you got some early schooling in
Yeah.
all kinds of comedy.
Of two generations before
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sure,
It's
yeah.
like I was probably 15, 16 before I really began to settle into some Cosby,
Yeah.
Bruce, and all of those who were
Yeah.
just one generation before.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah,
So-
I was used to the other guys before, those little,
old
they
school.
had like lecture series, Groucho Marx, that were somewhat,
Oh,
you know,
dude.
humorous and not
Right.
legit
Yeah.
stand up.
Right.
But hilarious.
Yeah.
As a kid, I thought that stuff was so funny, man. And then
When I found out that was a thing people could do,
yeah.
I was so stoked. Like a monologue, I guess. That's, you
Yeah.
know,
Oh, yeah.
You know,
yeah,
like, and
Wow.
yeah.
And Ajax Liquor Store, all those routines, man. I just
Yeah.
like Ajax. In my head, as soon as I say it, I can hear
Do
it
it.
on the old vinyl.
yeah.
Ajax Liquor Store, Ajax Liquor Store. Two things of gin and vermouth. I thought you said you were allergic to vermouth. Yeah, but I do it in my wife's memory. All of those silly but funny.
And a lot of that
bits,
was
man.
more like sketch than it was stand up.
Yeah.
Which is great. Like what is it, Carl Reiner and Mel Brooks old record,
all
like
that
2,000-Year-Old Man, all that.
Groucho Marx. So I walked
yeah.
out of an elevator and I saw this priest, and he said, "Thanks for all the enjoyment you brought into this life." And I said, "Thanks for all the enjoyment you've taken out of it." Wow. I remember at a young age noticing how the timing, the landing, the delivery. Anyway.
And so many people, like when I think of that style, it's like that's all like Bob Hope was doing. That's all that. Who's the
Johnny Carson?
The oldest one that just died, or most recent,
Don Rickles.
Don Rickles. Yeah. And I watched him doing like late stage comedy, and he's still doing the same bit.
Oh yeah.
And it was still working for him. And I'm like, because what's he gonna do? You can't at 90. What are you gonna just change completely?
Still was my favorite opening monologue to Saturday Night Live. I personally don't think the show was ever what it was supposed to be and what it was advertised to be, except for the episode that Don Rickles hosted.
Wow.
They couldn't do anything with him. He stayed off
I'll
script.
have to go back and watch
Dude,
that.
it's hilarious. You're watching the other actors dying laughing, knowing he's jumped rail.
Completely into the show.
At one point, he's confronting Joe Piscopo
Oh, wow. This is like
about something in a previous scene through a whole different character.
Jeez.
Dang.
It's hilarious. It's a train wreck, which is what I thought the show was supposed to be.
Right. Tim Curry, man. Videos of him going off script. Tim Curry. And
are you thinking of an SNL guy?
no. A white comedian, of course. Definitely not Tim Curry.
No, Tim Conway.
Tim Conway. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, like a Carol Burnett.
I have like some sort of celebrity dyslexia thing. Howard Hughes and Hugh Hefner.
It's a Tim and
same
it's a
guy.
C last name.
Yeah. I always have it surrounded, But yes, Tim Conway is.
I love Tim Conway.
Yeah. The classic is when he had the little Nazi soldier and interrogated Harvey Korman.
Oh, yeah.
And just tortured him by singing an extended version of "I've Been Working on the Railroad." It's stupid and silly, but hilarious.
I bet it would work.
Yeah, I love stuff like that.
So
man.
how old were you when you first got on stage and started doing comedy?
14.
Jeez.
Was
14.
comedy the first stage thing that you did? I mean, obviously you were dancing, but like as far as
It was
vocal.
in that order: dancing, acting, comedy. Dancing, acting, comedy, and writing at the same time.
Right. And you were 14 when you started doing stand up?
Well, the first time I did it.
Okay.
Then a couple of years passed. It was basically 4 guys who kind of kept me as their pet.
Really?
They were all 4 years older than
Oh,
me.
Florida.
Okay.
And I was like the only one my age. And they got tired of me in the back seat of the car just riffing on stuff I seen on late night.
Right.
Or at the time, TNT would show certain things. This is pre-Comedy Channel, which is also pre-Comedy Central.
Yeah.
Which is the only way I ever saw anything at the Apollo. Or from the
yeah.
Apollo.
The
was 'cause
reruns in the wee hours.
Oh,
Yeah.
And, I've always been an insomniac, so I would be up watching this stuff. And I'd recite it back in the car. We'd go play basketball. So we were at this is the 80s. A lot of times you got in the clubs you shouldn't be in.
Oh,
Sure.
yeah.
And we were in this club on a weekend, and one of the guys, Bert was his name, had gotten the DJ to agree to bring me on.
Oh, wow.
And told me just before. He didn't.
Oh, so no warning.
And
No warning.
And it's not even a comedy club?
It was a dance club.
Okay.
No
Black
pressure.
people dancing, which they don't like to be interrupted.
No, of course not.
For some kid to come up here
and, give
and
you
talk
his
shit.
comedy stylist.
Wow.
Yeah, right. This is
Never
real
done
cute.
this before.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I did great, man.
Yeah.
And everyone who, anytime within the first year, and you can speak to this, that you hit it out of the park, there's this, you'll never get that feeling. I tell people it's like sex. I'm sorry, but it is.
Yeah.
You'll never get that back.
Yeah.
You know, to get that back.
Now
No,
you tell me.
I can do packed houses, and I've done them, big theaters, and that's great, but it will never replace the first
You know what
few
they
times
say.
you hit it out of the park.
Wow.
Once that hymen is broke,
Yeah.
they don't go back together. Yeah.
Yeah.
Heard. All right. How many siblings?
I'm the youngest of 9.
Youngest of 9.
It was
I knew
a
it was a
lot.
lot.
Yeah,
Nine.
yeah.
And then your parents were either of them performers
No.
in any way?
No, we all often talk about they were the alpha and omega of comedy.
Yeah.
My mother knows she's funny and she's a brilliant storyteller. I was probably in my early 20s before I realized everyone's mom didn't do what my mom does.
Oh, yeah.
Like you say, what happened today? And you'd be at someone's house and they'd go, I went to the bank and stopped by the grocery store. And I'd be like, where's the story?
Right,
Yeah.
right. Something happened.
Yeah. Mhm.
Something happened. You're not telling
I
me.
was probably in my early 20s before I realized that everyone didn't do like my mom did. You say, what happened today? Well, there's one girl. And he's like, oh, here we go. You know?
Just settle in.
And you know how that heifer is. You know?
Wow.
know
And
how
she
that
said, and she'd go into their characters and she'd tell these stories. And so I have brothers who are preachers. If you see them preach, we're all storytellers.
Right.
And so we had that extreme. My dad had absolutely no sense of humor
Oh,
whatsoever.
really?
Someone had to
And that
get y'all.
made-
There were 9 of y'all. Hell no, he didn't have a sense
That
of humor.
made him hilarious to me and my brother.
Okay.
Right.
The stoic.
Ooh.
kinda-
Yeah.
So he wasn't a
Okay.
violent man, I take it.
No, he just was funny in his seriousness.
Right.
You know, you do something and you give all your wacky. I give my best, you know, Sid Caesar and Bill Cosby, and he just like looked past you like you were light smoke at a cookout.
Wow.
Right, right. That's how my kid
And
is.
then my parents divorced when I was 13.
Oh, okay.
When I was 13. So I grew up in the house under my stepfather, who had a completely different personality. Sure. I love them all, but I think that had an impact
Okay.
on me choosing. The talent was there, but me choosing, I think.
to nurture it.
Yeah.
nourish it.
I don't know if I was raised completely under my father's roof if I would have chosen the entertainment industry altogether.
Really?
Right.
Think you would have been a little too like, that's
Maybe
impractical.
Yeah. He's very extremely practical.
Sure.
Right. Well, that's probably for the best, right?
I've
yeah.
grown to appreciate that.
Yeah,
You know, there's stages.
We
I
need those serious.
need those, man. I'm glad I'm still breathing oxygen to appreciate it.
You're right.
Yeah.
So your oldest sibling, boy or girl? Brother, sister?
My oldest sibling is my brother,
Okay.
Anthony.
Is he real serious?
He's very funny.
Yeah.
He's very. Most people cannot take Anthony. He's a larger than life personality. Years ago, when I won, a Weekly Planet of the Tampa Bay area, when I won Critical Best Actor of the Bay Area in Tampa, I played Boy Willie, this character, in August Wilson's The Piano Lesson. And people were just amazed because the character is very different from me. I basically played my oldest brother.
Really?
Nice.
Yeah, when I
Nice.
played him. He's very brash. He's very confrontational. He's very loud. If he arrived now 5 blocks down the street, you'd know he was here.
Really?
He's not shy. You may not agree with him. There's a lot I don't agree with him on, but
Sure.
there's no question where he stands on anything.
Heard.
But Bishop Lawrence is my oldest brother.
Bishop. Man.
And
that
then
is
after
a
him
lot
is
of pressure.
Elder Harvey Lawrence. Harvey's more of a get along with more people personality, but he's a
Right.
pastor. He's got
Yeah.
that kind of Cosby edge. He's
Okay.
very, very, very funny.
Yeah.
And Maverick is probably the quietest person in the family. He's the third oldest.
Right. He's basically like getting close to that middle child thing. He's just
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
whatever, nobody cares about me.
Tons of years in military reserve.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
And then the girls start coming.
Okay.
My oldest sister is
Then
Rita.
things got interesting.
Rita, she's a retired sheriff deputy.
You were telling me about her. That's crazy that you have family in law enforcement. Yeah, you were telling me
she
about
was
that
a
one
sheriff
time.
deputy.
Yeah.
We shared a house
That's right.
for
yeah.
years, a couple of years, and it was interesting to live
I
with
bet.
someone who that was their job.
Yeah. You're
And
just
to
like
run
smoking a
people
blunt.
like
You're
me
"Hey, what's
down.
going
Right? I was like, did you feel safe?
on?" Yeah. Wow.
What's the coordinates?
Right, right. That's my house. Ranney.
I have Carmen in Atlanta,
Yeah.
who works selling fragrances and stuff like
Okay.
that. And then Selwyn brings the boys back in.
Yeah.
He's a
Selwyn.
teacher in Virginia. And then Melissa is the journalist who wrote the biography on Serena Williams.
Really?
Oh,
I
nice.
don't know if I knew that.
Yeah,
Wow,
she's
that's
she's
crazy.
a pretty reputable journalist.
Awesome.
She was like years ago with Sports Illustrated,
Okay. Wow.
Pittsburgh Press, and all of that.
Very accomplished across the whole family.
Very busybody family. And then LaGuana, who's a year older than me, who is one of the top cosmetologist hairstylists in her beauty salon, LA Beauty Salon in Atlanta.
So are they most of your siblings in the South still? You said Virginia.
Yeah,
Georgia,
we moved
Florida.
around a little bit, but
Yeah.
right now it's 2 in Virginia. No, it was. Now it's 1 in Virginia. There's 3 in Atlanta, and the rest are in Florida.
Okay.
And then me out here in
Yeah,
Texas.
yeah, you came the furthest.
Yeah,
All
I'm the
9
anomaly.
of you just grew up and were like successful and just didn't like do. I mean, I'm not trying to get all up in your family business, but like I'm one of 4, and at least 2 been to prison.
Oldest, the bishop. He wouldn't mind me saying that. He's very forward about that. He did some time, and we've done our, journeys or whatever.
Were you like
Just
the
that-
wildest one?
Oh, I by far am not. I was.
Guess who's
I
going to
mean,
be
if-
on next week,
Yeah.
folks?
I mean, outside of, especially in the entertainment industry, I think where I've gone and seen it in the entertainment industry, I think I'm mild in certain ways, but I've been in a lot of different circles.
Right.
That said, like in my 20s to early 30s, I used to love to go to the dance halls and clubs and stuff like that.
Sure.
Go, I'm of the house party generation.
Yeah.
But and spent a lot of time in the New York streets because of the fact that I was doing street comedy.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that,
Street comedy.
yeah.
What is that like?
it's the best, and it ended.
Walk
ended
me
with Giuliani.
through that. How did? What?
He took away.
Oh,
where made it
when
where
he cleaned
charged.
up
Yeah, he
Times
made-
Square.
He made it where they would fine you for buskering, and I personally think it has a domino effect impact
Right.
on why this current generation doesn't have their Chappelle prior.
Yeah.
Right.
Because,
they didn't. They couldn't.
You didn't go through that ritual, man. You
So-
did street comedy for a while. You walked in a comedy club like, what you got?
Right.
Sure. Yeah.
So how? Okay.
I just saw a guy drop his pants and take a shit
yeah.
next to
While
me.
I'm telling jokes.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you got
like,
a boo.
Yeah.
right. Oh.
Really?
Yeah. I almost got stabbed. All right.
I'm
Calm
trying
down.
to do my bits while I'm smelling your shit next to me.
Yeah.
That's
Tanner was
I
talking
just
about that.
climbed the fence in the Deuce in Times Square next to McDonald's and almost got arrested just to punctuate this bit and dived into a crowd. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You think I'm concerned about you not
Yeah,
laughing
like,
at
yeah,
one or two punchlines?
Yeah. How long were you in New York total? Like what years were you
It
there?
was early 90s, 89, 90, 91.
Okay.
How
Yeah.
do you do street comedy? What do you do? Like
Just lay down some
logistically,
cardboard.
right? Like,
Oh, there's no
It was just a
completely
joke. You
definitive
didn't
way,
find
but
the
for
queen.
the most part, I had a mentor. This is interesting, man.
Yeah.
You can go
Oh.
check all this out. My mentor,
oh, I'm going to know.
my mentor, Steve LeRae, and Dave Chappelle's mentor, Charlie Barnett, were rivals.
Oh wow.
And Steve took me out to Times Square for my first street comedy show. You're going to do a street comedy show. I said, I'm going to do what?
Right. Wait, that.
And I said, I don't even know what to do, Steve. He says, watch me. And he ranked on people, roasted people as they walked by, and I just thought, he's going to get killed.
Right. That's how you die in New York.
Yeah, right.
I got
Right.
this one already.
Check the manual. How do I die
Right.
in a bigger
What's
city?
the quickest?
And he did that for a while, and he'd get like 10 or 15 people.
Right.
Then he'd tell them, going to start the comedy show in 5 minutes. When I look over to you and point, I want you all to start clapping.
Yeah.
Which would draw attention
Right.
to get other people to come.
Right.
So no mic, no nothing.
Oh, no,
Just-
he had a mic
Oh,
and
he had a
an
mic.
amp.
Okay.
He had a mic
okay.
and an amp, which
Okay.
is to a point I'm coming to later.
Okay.
He had a mic and an amp, and he built about 50 people. And then he did the show. He killed it. Then he gave it to me.
And then what happened?
I ate it so bad, dude.
In front of 50 people on the street.
No, not 50. I
You're
had to gather my own. I gathered
Okay.
about 20.
Yeah.
And it's like I did my first punchline thinking, because I've been in the comedy clubs,
Right.
and killing in the comedy clubs. It's different.
Yeah.
And I hit my first punchline, and the guy just went,
Wow.
which I thought was a laugh,
Right.
but it wasn't. It was just a tick.
Yeah.
And then I ate it so bad. I cried walking to the subway. I cried on the subway. Wow. I cried when I transferred at 14th Street. I cried when I got to the ferry. On the ferry crossing the Hudson, when I got on the 103 bus that took me back to Highland Boulevard, I cried on it and cried walking down the street. I saw a dead cat and cried. I cried walking up the stairs to the house I shared. Just cried. And I got into my window seat. I had a room where I had a wonderful room. I had a situation most comedians and everybody envied me that I lucked into. But I rarely slept in my bed.
Yeah.
I slept in my window seat because it looked over the Hudson.
Oh,
Nice.
Very beautiful.
Nice.
I got in my window seat and I cried a little bit more and said, okay.
Yeah.
Next time.
Next time.
Right.
And I came ready the next
That's
time.
a long cry home, though.
Here's the point I wanted to get to, though, man. I
Yeah.
think I told you this, Morgan.
Yeah.
I got to the point that I would do maybe 3 shows a day, 4 to 5 times a week, and get a crowd, get them to pay me. You tell them 75% of the way through. You pass the hat, because if you wait to the end,
Right.
they'll just disperse.
Yeah,
Right.
sure.
I got where I could
Man.
do that on a regular basis with the mic and the amp. Charlie Barnett, who was mentor to Chappelle, would go in Washington Square Park, no mic, no amp, and 3 times a day, crowd 500 people surrounding him,
Holy shit.
Jesus.
and give them the show of their lives. It was just I heard through the rumor mill that Dave bought the rights to Historians, trying to get it told.
Really?
He was a brilliant man. He's one of the brilliant comedians
Yeah.
that people don't know
No,
about,
Charlie
yeah.
Barnett.
including my mentors, Steve Larray. Steve would just, you hear so many. It's become common language for comedians to say, "I killed," and
Yeah,
you're like,
sure.
"Really? I was there."
It was all right.
Yeah, it's thrown around a little too much, I think.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
Steve,
I've used it before, and
Yeah,
we know
yeah,
I never
we all
kill.
say it.
I've
Crushed
never
it. I
killed.
crushed it.
Yeah.
Really? Oh, okay. Well, you can
For
crush
me,
You
I'm
can
like-
crush me anytime if that's your crush.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
I can take it.
Well, Steve Larray, when I first met him, you would consistently watch him go into rooms and destroy. I mean, when I say destroy, like the legendary Dom Herrera.
Yeah.
One
I know
of
Dom Herrera.
those guys that they never quite captured on television
Not
what he
quite.
can do in a comedy club. He'd go in the comedy club and you just be like, oh my God.
Right.
Strangers are holding on to each other.
Right.
Leaning over crying.
Wow.
And I miss that edge as a staple in comedy. I don't think that's
Yeah.
happening as much in that.
Yeah, doesn't seem like it.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Sorry.
Guys absolutely destroy rooms. But Charlie was one of those guys, man.
Yeah.
He did some movies like DC Cab with Mr. T.
Oh, I remember that one, yeah.
And he Miami Vice tried to turn him into their Huggy Bear.
Oh, really? Yeah.
You know?
Starsky and Hutch had a pimp. We need a pimp, too.
Yeah.
shit.
We
funny.
need a savvy street pundit.
Yeah.
Any particular shade is fine, but that one looks a little more
Yeah.
like what we're looking for.
Now put on this purple
Pastel.
coat.
Wait, you don't have your own cane?
Right, he's black and gaudy. Yeah, we bring him in. Bring him in.
Yeah. So you said Charlie Barnett is no longer around.
No, he
passed.
died in the late '90s.
Okay. What about Steve Larray? Is he still?
Yeah, last I heard, Steve went sideways, as we say,
Ooh, okay.
and ended up in an asylum.
Oh.
So
Better than suicided, maybe.
Well. Yeah.
I mean,
That's
there was a
sad.
lot of guys on. I heard recently, and I don't know how much it's true. You got internet
Right.
rabbit hole people can do your rabbit holing.
Right.
I heard that if you're, like someone was saying this to me, if you're still involved in comedy, you're a part of the 2% that started when you started.
Wow.
That if you're involved in any kind of way,
Yeah.
even if you're just like coming in the room and and participating, and you're not. You know. So that was amazing, staggering to me. But I knew a lot of guys on the scene in New York and then on the East Coast in the early '90s that were beasts.
Yeah.
I don't pretend to know what happened to all of them, but they were just, and that's why I say to young comics sometimes, it's like, don't burn out, man. Like, enjoy this, love this, you know, care for it.
Yeah.
Curate your comedy and develop it, but love, you know, enjoy yourself. Enjoy yourself.
Yeah. So
something I feel like I have consistently done.
Right. Yeah.
It sure as hell looks like it.
I mean, you've been doing this for 3 decades plus, and you still have so much fucking fun with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen you at Lantern at
thanks,
Bar PM. Yeah, you're having such a good time with
Two
it,
dots.
and you make sure. Not always. Sometimes that biker guy gets pissed off.
I mean,
but the
certain
audience
amount
is
of
having
that's going to
fun.
happen.
The audience is having fun too. It's just so and that's what I think. I mean, I if I could take any like, okay, Ranney can do this. I wish I could make sure I was having fun and everyone else is having fun. It's such a good. Do you where does that come from? Do you think is it just
I really do believe we had at this junior college, we had this beast of we didn't know it at the time. We were too young and stupid.
Yeah.
We had a genius train all of us in the performing arts, including sketchwork theater.
Right.
His name was George Ross Randolph II. He passed in 2017.
That's quite a name.
But,
George Ross Randolph II.
He was quite a figure and a character.
Right.
And those of us who are still involved talk about it. You ever notice you're in the room and people don't know what you know?
Yeah.
We talk about that all the time.
Is that a big part of the
big part of the overall prowess and the some people say it, but he had a way of saying it that it meant something. But right before our performances, when we did a lot of sketch work, a lot of like SNL type stuff, but live theater version and hilarious sketches, man. There's some things that we'll bring up. We go, God, man, the fact that never made it on television.
Right.
It's funny ass sketches for live theater. But right before we did the shows, he would say, "Have fun with it."
Yeah.
You know, he would say he would push that
cadence. I like that cadence.
For someone who was so hard on you, so in many ways, to say that at the last second.
Don't forget.
Yeah, have fun with it.
Oh,
I've run you through the mill and drawn and quartered you.
Fun. The first I've heard of that.
Yeah.
That, man. So do you think, did you have to work hard to put yourself in these places, to be in the room with these people?
It was a combination. I strongly believe that if you get any traction in this at all, it's a combination of many things.
Sure.
I'm not so removed from what I have that I don't recognize the talent and drive and energy, but I'm not so into myself that I think I can dismiss luck, fortune, assistance.
Nobody gets there alone.
No alone. I mean, I'm always telling young performers, I'm like,
thanks.
I'm very, very confident in my talent, but my thing I'm most proud of everywhere I go, especially in live regional theater, which is very tough to keep moving up the ladder, is that people carry on about how great it is to work with me. Yeah. And I tell them that all the time. It's like, especially ones where you see they're beginning to be a problem. It's like, dude, don't get into the Saturday afternoon movie idea of the rebel.
Right.
And you ruin your career. People don't like to be a close friend of mine, Chris Edwards, who directs and brilliant, and we've collaborated more than I have with any other director. He directed me last year in a critically acclaimed Fences. But he says often, people don't realize when we do this, we got to be locked in the room with you for most of the week.
Sure, yeah.
And we want to be with someone we enjoy.
Right.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because you are.
Like I said, I count that. I know Chris has respect for my talent, how hard I would work, but I'm also fun to be in the room with.
Right.
And so is he.
Yeah.
And so
you don't just walk in demanding fans and where you're going to sit.
Yeah. Eating grapes. Yeah.
Right.
That kind of thing.
Right.
Well, and that's something Rafa and I have talked about you specifically, is how you are so under the radar here Like you just walk around like you're just some normal person.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I am.
And you are. I mean, you're very approachable. You're
Yeah.
you're very much a normal person.
Yeah.
But people don't know who they're passing.
No. Well,
But then
yeah, go ahead.
you'll post these stories, and I'm
Yeah.
like, no. As a matter of fact, people notice all the time because apparently they just stop you and be like, "Can I have your advice?" You know, not like.
Sure,
And
sure.
what is it? The shaman.
Oh
What's
yeah,
one
your-
of the-
other names.
The Illuminatus.
Yeah.
Illuminati.
you know, there's tradition in comedy. Someone has to give you your nickname.
Okay.
Oh.
So all of those were given to me.
I should be a much
Really?
better
Yeah.
comedian because I got a lot of nicknames.
Yeah. Those were all given to me.
Yeah.
And the reason I bring that up because that's a very close to my heart. Eyes Ofrika, he's no longer with us. We lost him in 2004.
Are you a serial killer?
Yeah.
Also dead.
He was at the young age of 27. He was a brilliant poet. Brilliant poet. And that was when I was more immersed into the spoken word slam poetry scene. We would
I
do-
wish we had that here.
we would do nights together.
Wish
But
we had that here.
he one night at the Tampa Improv gave me that nickname, the Illuminatus.
The Illuminatus.
I like
How
it.
old were you?
At that time,
Yeah.
I was 32, 31, 32.
When do you remember? It had to have happened. I mean, I'm sure it was gradual, but do you remember the first time that you realized you were carrying something that other people weren't? That like when you're like, okay, this is more than a coincidence.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Can you tell us about it?
The Apollo.
Nice.
Yeah, no, I mean, because it's the Apollo.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, and you didn't get fucking yanked off the stage.
Well, no, this was, that would happen to people on the amateur night.
Yeah.
They had a
You're like-
professional comedy club Tuesday nights
Okay.
that I was a part of. And I love telling this story, man.
Yeah.
They had, I had competed at Boston Comedy Club and it won their open mic and did this and did that. And then there were no, at least to me back then, this is before cell phones and all of that stuff and social media.
Yeah.
This is 1990. There were no openings for me to like,
Get-
advance,
yeah.
for lack of a better word. And Joe Bertram of Laugh One Out, which is the producing team producing Laugh Tuesdays
Right.
at the Apollo, I still to this day don't know how he got my number. Left a message, and this is when you hear this on your answering machine.
Yeah.
This is Joe Bertram.
So an answering
Laugh
machine
one out.
was a thing that
right.
it had
So
a cassette.
kids-
Okay, we're gonna have to go back.
Look it up on your
Right.
microfiche.
Yeah. No, no shit. Yeah.
Man, wasn't that a bitch?
Right.
Down in the basement, crank. Yes, like it's a Model T trying to get some.
Yeah, to play Pop the Weasel with Data.
And it looked like they had the bird from the Flintstones copying that shit
Oh, yeah.
down.
Yeah.
Microfiche.
Yeah.
Spend your whole day. We did. Your turn.
But
Anyway,
he
sorry.
left a message saying, this is Joe Bertram at the Apollo. I had to listen to the message
You're like,
about
"No."
10 times because I kept, after he would say Apollo, I was
then I
losing my
blacked
mind.
out.
Yeah. This is
Wow.
Joe Bertram at the Apollo.
I'd be trying to identify the voice. Like, which one of my so-called friends is fucking with me?
Yeah.
So what did that lead to?
Oh, well, he said, we have this. I didn't
He's
even
like,
know
I don't know,
about
I
it.
still-
I didn't even know about it. He said, we have this. I have a professional comedy club called Laugh Tuesdays at the Apollo. We'd like you to come down and audition. If we like you, you go up the following Tuesday.
Oh wow.
And so
Yeah, you're gonna love
I called
me.
him back, and I was just like, yeah. And the next Tuesday, the next Monday, this has happened for the biggest moments in my career.
Yeah.
I got sick as a dog.
Oh.
I had the flu, and I had this whole dynamic has happened to me several times. I decided I wasn't going to go.
Right.
I woke up the next morning and just decided at the last second, I'm going.
Right.
As
Like,
sick as I
what am I
was,
not going to
grabbed
go?
it. Yeah.
I'm really not going to go.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going.
And I lived on Staten Island, so I'm sick as a dog. It's pouring, raining, and cold in New York.
Sounds miserable.
Yeah, running it down in my rat-the-tat Florida London fog.
Yeah.
to catch the bus. Like I said, the 103 to the ferry. Got to wait for the ferry.
Maybe I'll just cry some more.
Yeah, right. Get the Battery Park. You take the one to go 14th Street, transfer, go to 42nd, transfer to the A
I
train.
definitely wouldn't have gone. I'd have been like,
Get on the A train. I run my dumb country Florida ass thinking I'm going to just go and knock on the door.
Sure.
I get like 2 blocks away. There's a line.
Yeah. You had to like go back. Like, where do you think you're going?
Yeah. So anyway, we get in the line, meet one of my closest friends on the comedy scene ever, Dexter Stallworth, in line, and we go through, and they finally
y'all
call
already friends?
No,
Or y'all
that's
met
where I
there?
met.
Okay,
I met
good.
in that line, and we became friends. And he tells this better than I do. There was a lady when we finally got into the room, because you got in certain levels, then you got in the room. There's about 20 of you. She was just bugging everybody, and I did this joke, and she didn't know I was setting her up. That basically made her the punchline.
Nice.
Because it depends on you being nosy. Sure. She
Yeah.
jumped in right at the right moment, and I said the punchline. The whole room
Beautiful.
was destroyed. And he always says, I knew just then you were going to be my close friend.
Nice.
But then they called me. I went on, and I didn't know this either, that you were auditioning in front of a live audience.
Right. Yeah.
Surprise.
Yeah.
You're like
I
sick,
go
out of breath, soaking wet.
Yeah, right.
Some bitch pissed you off. You're like, all
At
right.
the Apollo. Yeah.
Yeah.
They just booed the previous guy.
Oh man.
And I go out, and they loved me. They're actually to the point that when I was finishing, I thought they were booing me.
Yeah.
And Joe was telling me they were booing. They want you to
Keep going.
Yeah.
Like, encore.
Wow.
Yeah,
Encore.
keep going.
Yeah.
But
Right?
then
I'm already crying.
he ran the length of the stage and caught me. You have to come down the stairs to exit. He caught me and was just like, "Can you go on tonight?"
Yeah.
The rule was
Shut up.
Yeah, the rule was supposed to be that you go
Next
on
week.
He's like, "Can you go on tonight?"
Wow.
I had a job. I was working at Kmart overnight from 11 at night to 7 in the morning.
Yeah.
Night
And,
stalker.
Of course, being a young comic, as soon as he asked, I said, "Yeah, I can do it
Yeah,
tonight."
absolutely.
Yeah. Call
Dude.
Kmart in Staten Island. Tell
Yeah.
them you can't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I called in that night. No, I didn't quit, but I did call in.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And I had my first night at the Apollo, a partial standing ovation.
And how old were you when that happened?
20.
Jeez.
And it was crazy. The next year was absolute nuts.
And that's when you realized.
It was they got to the point about halfway through the overall time I spent at the Apollo, that they would alter. First, it was just all in the main theater that you see on stage.
Right.
Then they started alternating. You'd have it in this sound room that was more of a comedy club atmosphere.
Nice.
Then the following week, they go back to the theater. It was one of the nights actually in the sound room. It was the first night that they had me headline. I was like the top line, and I.
You got a lot of pictures of that, right?
I wish I had the foresight to know. But they are somewhere because people took pictures.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But it was a night I had, one of the nights that I'll never forget. It was the first time I did this whole thing, influenced by, on the Eddie Murphy Delirious album, he does this section about singers.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of had my parallel, but it was more contemporary singers.
Okay.
Right.
And, I did this whole bit on Luther Vandross and how when he comes out in concert, he actually does breathing exercises in front of the audience. Yeah, I started doing my Luther impression in the audience. New York, Harlem, which is where he's from.
Yeah.
They love him more than anybody. And I went into
So it better be spot on.
Yeah, and I went on doing the audience absolutely went. And I remember that night leaving afterwards, there was a comedian named Julio Rodriguez, Angela Lozada, who a serial killer, who we lost in 2019. He was the warm-up for the Daily Show.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool. Okay.
But the couple of us we were heading about a couple of blocks over to Uptown Comedy Club, which is a very historic key comedy club in Harlem. Yeah. But we were on our way there, and fellow comedians carrying on, and just remembering that night. That was the night that I was like, okay, something's something's a little.
I might be a shaman.
I have something. You know,
You do.
I
You
was
do.
fine.
I mean, that's.
I was aware.
was pretty
of that.
sure you already knew about
Yeah.
it before I brought it up. Just guessing.
I got a little something.
Well, okay, so this Friday, right? Or
Right,
Saturday,
right.
Friday?
No, just Friday.
Friday.
At Mano.
At Mano Negra, you're headlining.
Yeah, should
And
be
that's
fun.
what I'm talking about. We're getting you in a room about this size.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they have no idea. They have no idea.
Yeah.
And I'm
I
fine
mean,
with
some
that.
do,
I'm
you know,
fine with
yeah.
it. I am so
clearly,
fine.
or you wouldn't be doing it, right? Like,
Yeah, I
assume
mean,
you'd
I've
vlog a go.
learned to, Anthony Chisholm. God, I'm killing everybody.
Yeah, Dad, y'all
Yeah,
didn't
he's
even hear
gone.
the part about Stevie Ray Vaughan. You're gonna have to
Put all these on me.
put the Patreon
I
to
tell
hear
these
about.
stories because I've been in the entertainment industry so long, man.
Yeah.
Anthony Chisholm was the least famous.
Where were you when Prince died? Come to think of it, you
Morning-
did some
I was
work
mourning
in
Michael
Minneapolis
Jackson
not that
still,
long
yeah.
ago.
And Anthony
Sorry.
Chisholm was no, he's good. He was the least famous of a whole huge group of friends,
Okay.
which includes Samuel Jackson, Delroy Lindo, Angela Bassett, Courtney B. Vance, Lawrence Fishburne.
Jeez.
Anthony Chisholm, you can look him up, and he did episodes of Oz and Law
Yeah.
and Order.
Okay.
But was just as much, if not more, of a beast on live stage than all of them.
Oh,
He
really?
was really,
Wow.
and I had the honor and pleasure of meeting him and working with him when American Stage down in Florida produced August Wilson's Radio Golf, and he reprised a role that he was nominated for a Tony for.
Oh, wow.
And anyway, getting to know him and know his resume and know just being on stage with him, which he was his own storm system. And conversation
Too soon,
with him.
but okay.
Yeah. I know. Conversation with him made me start to, and him telling me things about myself and reading my resume. It was a very pivotal moment. That was 2015 when I began to go, oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's what you meant.
Yeah, my career in life is in certain ways parallel to some of these bigger names because I've done things they haven't done.
Sure.
And I need to recognize that in a certain way and not dismiss it.
Yeah.
And I've learned that. And so when you say like playing Mano Negro in that small room, who am I? I'm no superior to my favorite musician, Thelonious Monk, who played rooms like that in the last 10 years of his
Right.
life.
Yeah.
Right.
And now posthumously is the number 2 most popular jazz musician when people
Right.
name jazz
Oh,
musicians.
yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Or you think about Bill Hicks, who died with a certain popularity,
You
but
see,
now
we're not over
Yeah.
it still. Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like now posthumously. I remember in the early 2000s, I had to introduce other comics. They didn't know who he was.
Yeah, no,
That's rare now. Everybody
was,
knows who
Oh,
he
yeah.
is.
Yeah, I was reading read about an article, and then I just got on Napster and I just downloaded like Arizona Bay, ran any minor, all that. I'm like, holy shit, what is this? And then when and then a couple years later, when I started listening to David Cross and stuff, his stand up, I'm like, oh, okay, I know where
you see
I
the-
could put that in context.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know, and
yeah,
even,
yeah.
I remember,
Yeah.
so I'm like early 20s, mid 20s, maybe late 20s, whatever, at Cricket's downtown. And I was like, dude, I couldn't remember his name, Bill Hicks, right?
Yeah.
And so I asked my buddy, I'm like, hey, who's Goat Boy? And he said, Jeff, what's his name from Half Baked?
You're talking
yeah,
about
Yeah. And I was like, my heart broke. I was like, you know that's not who I mean. You fucking know that's not who I mean.
Yeah.
I was just like, no, the real Goat Boy. What kind of sentence is that?
Yeah, the real Goat Boy. Yeah.
But no, man.
I love that. Like, if you're in advertising, just kill yourself. That's not a joke.
Oh,
just
yeah.
kill
Love
yourself.
it. Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Oh,
Love it.
yeah.
Love it, man. But in the last 2 years, I've done certain things on stage, man, and found
Oh,
myself recognizing that it's like, I keep saying I'm lucky to breathe oxygen to get to these certain points.
Yeah.
And one I've gotten to in the last 2 years is where it's just like, look, I'm just playing the room.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Whatever room I'm
Yeah,
in,
right.
as actor, comedian.
Whatever motorcycle guys you want to
right,
play, you want to
right,
dance,
right.
let's dance. That's where I started.
Let's dance. This is it, man. You know,
So we talked a lot about comedy. I want to, because I know very little about theater as far as other than being a spectator. How?
Oh, you're a producer.
Yeah, exactly,
right.
exactly. Yeah.
You sound like management.
Is that it? I'm assuming producers don't know shit.
Natural.
I just lost 20 jobs, but go ahead.
But
I doubt they're going to see it.
so you're doing like sketch, stand up, dancing. How did, and I know you've talked about, doing the when you did that Burning Fringe with the hip hop Shakespeare thing. At what point did you start moving more into like the regional theater, like the August Wilson stuff that you've been doing recently, or when you go to the
We've been doing the
Berkshires?
Wilson stuff for a long time, right?
Was it all kind of around the same time you were doing all this?
That's why I kind of joked about the ADHD. I've kind of always done them all, but then one begins to do this out of nowhere. I mean, when I went to New York,
sorry,
no, you're fine. When I went to New York, there were people who were shocked that I wasn't consistently auditioning for Broadway plays. But I just kind of zoomed in on comedy.
Right. Yeah.
And the same thing, kind of like in the last 3 to 5 years, I'll be in a region, and every time I've done comedy where I was already doing a stage show, it's been a fellow actor that's been like, hey, I got the gang together and they can't believe we want to see you.
Right.
Yeah, you did that last time.
Yeah.
Mass, right?
It wasn't on the table beforehand as much as it's just like
$20 a ticket.
They were like, do a set,
I think it's only
dude.
$15 on Friday, so you're making money on this still.
But and like I told you, those of us who were trained by George, we learned. I'm still shocked at what I know, man.
Really?
Have fun
because
with
of
it.
him.
Yeah.
I go into an acting room and you got actors who like, I'm Viewpoint. I'm Mamet. I'm Method. And I'm Stanislavski. I'm Grotowski. And we sit there and I say this with honoring those of us who were trained by George. We go in going, oh, we know all of that.
Yeah.
There was no one. You couldn't work with him in one system.
Have a method. No.
And he was a beast, man.
Really?
You guys, and I know having conversation with you would love a guy like George.
Yeah.
Was a walking encyclopedia of arts and humanities. Yeah.
That's
Shame what you did to him.
I said this to Kalo one time. I said he taught. Makes me realize even teaching is a lost art. Yeah. Because people think reciting information is teaching.
Right.
Oh,
George taught
and
me.
learning.
I said this to Kalo. I said, this dude taught us like a grandma teaches you how to make a pound cake.
Yeah.
And how a father teaches you how to change your oil in your car. That you know it. George taught
inside and out.
He taught you
why you're doing it.
Yeah.
You
You'd be in the
knew
middle
your
of a
motivation.
scene and he'd show you something, then he'd go, okay, now stop right there.
Yeah.
Then he's going to break that down to you. And that's going to be like maybe in the next half hour. And you're sitting there as a frustrated
You're
young
like,
person.
all I said was rum and Coke. He's like, all right, cut.
Yeah, I didn't even get to or not to be. I just said to be. Damn, Jesus.
Wow.
I can't get
Didn't
to
even
or.
know it's a question
Can I
yet.
get to the conjunction, please?
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, he taught us like that. And then it's a weird situation, all of it together, but Winter Haven, Polk State Theater, they inherited a performing arts complex out of zoning laws.
Oh, really?
Yeah, someone built the place that was supposed to be like this, to get people to stop through because it was the not layover, that's the word I'm looking for, but built on the fumes, for lack of a better word, of Esther Williams. She shot a lot of her films, those swim films or whatever, at Cypress Gardens, which was in Winter Haven. And so it kind of brought a decent amount of entertainment elite to that region. And they started doing commercials. When I was a kid, you could do a lot of commercials in that area.
Yeah.
Like that.
And I mean, Disney is in that area
Right.
too.
Right.
Just 45 minutes away.
Yeah.
So when they were building this performing arts center to facilitate that, but they built it, this is so funny, on the land for the college, so the college kind of...
I guess that's ours now.
So, not in addition to having George, we had the state of the art, like
nice.
people from university friends would come visit your school and be like,
Are
this
you
is
kidding
your
me?
theater?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's some luck there.
And
in
inside
the
of that,
equation,
exactly.
Right,
Inside that
right.
theater, he'd take you down in the pit. You hit the button, woo, you go down slow. You feel like he was going down like
Right, this-
THX 1138.
Yeah.
Like, he's got some aliens down here. They're gonna pick me
Right.
apart and kill me. And he's a huge guy, 6'3", about 300 pounds.
Damn.
And he'd take his glasses off, and he'd be facing. There'd be a wall of books behind him. He would be facing me. He'd take his glasses off and say, he always called you by your last name. So you guys are about to hear my last name. He said, Mr. Lawrence, go up to shelf 17, 5 steps to the left, and pull down. And you would go while he was talking. Damn it if it wasn't there. Pull down Skin of Our Teeth. Turn the page 30 seconds.
Damn.
And then he would start breaking. We would do, this is away from classrooms. This is just spending time with you.
I was just trying to get coffees in the cafeteria. Now I'm in the pit.
I was going to ask you to borrow that book with those pretty mermaids in it. But he'd sit down at the table and break down scene examination and analysis to you. And he like watching a film with George. I remember the first time I saw Dr. Strangelove. You know,
Love that one.
you watch the whole thing through, and he'd ask you how you felt about it, let you watch it, then invite you over to a group of you to watch it again.
Yeah.
Then that's when he'd start hitting the pause button.
Okay.
Here's what they're doing here. This is called incongruity. This he'd just sit there and we'd just be like, where did this dude come from?
Right. What? I knew that. I totally caught that. You caught that, right? When we were going, I leaned over and told
we were
him.
heading to a party.
So everything was a teachable moment there. That's great.
That's fantastic,
Amazing, man. Just an vast brain of and knowledge, and in a way that was very giving and sharing. It wasn't about holding it over you and the fact that like it was no part of George that was just like, well, I am so and so because I know these things, as much as it was like, here's why you would want to know these things.
Right. This is why you should know these things.
Yeah.
And this is what it looks like when you don't know these things.
Yeah. Knowing these things are fun.
Yeah.
Well,
and
and
insightful and help you to do what you're trying to do.
the fact that you were apparently so ADHD and were able to basically sit and listen to him, and hear him, he had to be doing something right.
I got you. George also had a temper, and maybe one of the all-timers outside of my mother, who could absolutely shut down a block. I mean,
Esther's a sweet lady in my head.
Man, listen,
She does not.
just like me, there's certain people that have a capacity for releasing rage when it's there.
Yeah.
And George
sometimes you got to.
Yeah, George was masterful with that.
Wow.
And someone like me at a young age needed that.
I could see that.
Yeah, there's times where he had to.
I said, sit down. Right? He gave you he start to pull off the sandal, and you're like, I was just kidding. My bad.
That was the glasses. Everybody knows the glasses came off. It was serious.
Okay.
Uh-oh. Yeah, that is, I know it is a sign that we might be about to fight.
But I had directed maybe 3 or 4 shows before I even realized it. We were doing a show called Playful Quartet, and posters came, and it had directed by George Ross Randolph and R.M. Lawrence. And by the way I do my name as a performer and the way I do my name behind scenes, which is R.M. Lawrence, that all came from him. He started that route. He started that. Because he wanted me on stage to be focused, and he thought, well, we're just putting Ranney up there, not all these other things you do.
In the lowercase, that's him?
All that came from George.
Quotes, lowercase.
I was curious about that.
Right?
Yeah, he started that.
Because I was like, it's clearly not a grammatical error. That's not who we're working with here.
But we were doing this play, and it had directed by R.M. Lawrence and George. And I said, George, they made a mistake on the poster. They put my name.
He's going to be pissed.
Yeah, I said, I took it right to him immediately. I didn't want it to be a mistake. I was like, he said, Ranney,
that's what you've been doing.
He said, you've either assistant directed or directed the last 3 or 4 shows. I just forgot to put your name down.
Oh, wow.
He's just like, what do you think you've been doing? I was like, I was just doing what you told me to do.
That's some real Mr. Miyagi stuff right there. He's like, the whole time.
Yeah. The whole time. You had those suds.
Right.
You were about to block
He's a master. Yep.
That's a really good analogy for. I like that.
Thanks.
She said that, Mr. B.
No, it's true though. It's true. It's true. We just to end on the George thing.
Yeah.
When he died, there was a chat room.
Mm-hmm.
I really wish we could transcribe it because it's still there.
Yeah.
All of his
I got
performers and students of over 3 decades were in the chat room together,
wow.
just goofing and laughing about the
And
moments.
stories.
Yeah, it was
Dude,
so
I'll
fantastic.
transcribe it.
Yeah,
Get it
yeah,
to
I'll
me.
send it to you.
So how
Yeah.
he taught for like 30 plus years?
He taught a little bit at University of South Florida, and then he went to Polk, I think 73.
Oh wow.
You know, and
Yeah.
he
He
I
got you
think
in
he
the late
retired
80s,
around
so-
99 or something,
Wow.
Damn.
or early
That is
2000.
Wow, that is a career.
Well, I mean, and I can't help but think of like Mr. Holland's Opus. You know,
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
yeah.
He, you know, maybe he didn't get all this acclaim himself, but I mean, his students went on to do
Right.
Definitely
Well,
some
and
really cool shit.
and quote him
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
there are certain quotes I can say right now in George Randolph students or proteges.
it's like a
yeah,
like
Think
like a dog whistle,
three-dimensionally.
but in a good way.
Yeah.
Like the
Think 3-dimensionally. You get the general picture here. When wherever you go, when you unpack, you're going to unpack those same problems.
Yeah.
Nice. I like that.
Yeah, a lot of stuff
Yeah.
he just drilled at
Yeah.
you.
Wow.
that's
You're
good.
playing the wrong music in this scene.
Wow. Yeah.
When you heard that, that was death, man. You're like, doing all your best acting. You're
Yeah, we
playing
hadn't-
the wrong music in this scene.
Wow.
Damn.
We haven't even discussed you singing and playing piano and probably some other instruments. I bet.
No, just I mean, I goof off on the ukulele.
That's fun.
Apparently, everyone's doing it.
I
I
have
do,
a
I
baritone
do.
uke that my homeboy gave me, and
Nice.
I kept through the years that I goof
Morgan, there. Every time I turn around in my garage, like my husband's band practice, there's like 4 ukuleles in my garage right now. 2 months ago, there was none. I don't know what happened. I
haven't
think
even
they're
brought mine
mating.
over.
I was going to say they're rebelling against
Right.
the previous administration.
Right. Well, they came to the right place.
I'm back on the guitar now.
Yeah,
Before we lose sight of it, all things Ranney, it's Ranney.com. That's RANNEY.
ITSRANNEY.com. Yeah,
And you
it's
can
all
find a
in there.
bio, a lot of the stuff we just talked about, the things that he's done, and we didn't even
Scratch
get
the
off
surface,
the tip
yeah.
of the iceberg. Yeah, I said
yeah.
tip. And then of course, if you're in Lubbock, this Friday,
Yeah,
Mano
come out.
Negra, I'll be there. Chrissy Covington is also.
Oh,
Chrissy's on the
Yes,
show. Who else is
love
on the
her.
show?
Or wait,
Sweat's
Jo-
hosting.
Josh
yeah,
is on the
Sweat's
show too, isn't
holding
he?
Josh,
is on the
and
show.
maybe
Josh.
it is
Do what?
his
Josh and
Cameo.
Cameo.
Cameo,
Yeah,
that's
Josh
right.
and Cameo, yeah.
I met
Yeah.
Cameo briefly once. That's
She
who
is a
I'm the-
treat.
Yeah, she's been
Yeah.
coming around more. She's,
Yeah.
That's who I'm least familiar with.
she was on
She
this
seems very,
podcast
very
two episodes ago. I
I'm
think,
surprised
so.
you didn't watch it in your research for doing this.
Yeah,
No,
got-
you knew everything you needed to know.
Thank
Nothing
you-
more.
Thank you so much for doing this.
Absolutely.
Man, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
It has
And thanks
been a
for
pleasure.
the Modelo. This is great.
Yeah, as tradition.
Yeah.
Oh, do we want to do our segment real quick?
Oh right, yes.
Okay.
All right.
This,
Breaking Hyman.
You can opt out of this. It's Breaking Hyman podcast. My last name's Hyman. We like to ask our guests, like, you want to share a story about a funny sex story or story of losing your virginity. By no means are you obligated to.
But you want to. What does George want you to do?
Yeah.
Was it George? No, I'm
losing-
just kidding. It wasn't like that, y'all.
Yeah, I don't know, but what the
Statute of
It doesn't have to be your story.
Yeah. All right.
It
Well,
could be a friend
you've
of
given
yours.
us so much already.
All
That's
right,
it.
fine.
Hey, I'm Morgan.
Lori Amber.
Check out Ranney online and at Mano Negra.
It's Ranney.
Thanks,
Peace.
everybody.
Thanks, man. Thank y'all. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Dude, absolutely.